All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tight the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Hola, amigos. Bienvenidos a ASAP Network. Got to hit up that international market. My name's Will. Welcome to ASAP Network. This is ASAP Real Talk here today on Tuesday, 11/24. Just 2 days removed from Thanksgiving. I tell you what, it's coming up hot. But today we are missing Freddie, but we are still here with three of the normal crew. Myself, Chris Brown, and Coach Cam. How we doing today, fellas?
Man, I'm doing good. I can't complain about much.
Coach Cam?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm still trying to recover from what happened Sunday. Still kind of surreal to me. But, you know, I'm going to make it through, man. I'm all right, though. I'm happy. My Bearcats ranked 7th in the college football pro. We didn't get screwed too bad, so we still got a path to make it. So I'm excited about that.
There you go. I tell you what, if you're having a bad day, I know you could at least be looking good in some Suzanne's bling. I tell you what, why don't you tell the people about it at home, Coach Cam?
Yeah, Suzanne Paparazzi Jewelry and Accessories, home of the $5 jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. Go check her out. www.paparazziaccessories.com. Code 160920. We know Christmas is around the corner. Hey, perfect opportunity to get a gift for your loved ones at Suzanne Paparazzi and Accessories. Check them out.
All righty. I tell you what, we got a lot of people supporting the show, Chris. Got a lot of people in the comment section, whether it be comments, like, and sharing. There's a lot of people doing all types of stuff to really helping out ASAP Network here. So tell them what they could win if they keep that up.
Yes. I appreciate everybody, commenting on the videos, liking the videos, sharing the videos. And if you want to win your very own free ASAP Network t-shirt, what I want you to do is keep commenting, keep liking, keep sharing. At the end of the month, we're going to tally you up. We're going to call that person a viewer of the month, and they're going to get their very own ASAP Network t-shirt.
We know we appreciate everybody's love and comments on our videos, but some people may be a little bit hesitant to put their name out there. How can they get a shirt otherwise?
Listen, if you still want a shirt, just message us on Instagram, message us on Facebook, message us on Twitter. Shirts are $25 plus shipping and handling. You're going to get a very nice ASAP t-shirt ASAP.
So I know we talked about Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, all that. Where else can people find our shows if they can't make it right now?
You can also find us on Anchor. If you're not able to watch, the full live videos, if you're busy, find us on Anchor. You can listen to the audio versions of ASAP Real Talk.
There you go. And I know we have two more sponsors, Chris. I know we got one up in Oregon taking care of us. Let's hear a little bit about Misty Meadows.
Yes, Misty Meadows in Bandon, Oregon. They make homemade jelly. You can find them on mistymeadows.com, mistymeadows.com.
And then not to mention Black Market Toffee at blackmarkettoffee.com. You can go find yourself some homemade toffee, everything made in-house. Name is Jamie Carnegie. And, man, they do some great stuff over there. Big fans, and we love and support them as well. So, all right, we've hit everything up, so let's get to the normal start to our show. We're going to start in the NFL, and we're going to do hot takes as always. We're going to start with you, Coach Cam. I need a hot take on the NFL season.
Hot take on the NFL season. I wanted to tell people out there because, everybody called me crazy when I said it'll start with the Rams beating the Bucs, winning that NFC West title. I still like them. I'm going to go as far as say this about this season. Hot take. Hot take. Tom Brady did not move the needle for the Tampa Bay Bucs. And if Jameis Winston was the quarterback, I think their record would be the same. That's my hot take, and that's how I feel about it. all the good teams that they've played, Tampa has wet the bed. All the bottom feeders, they beat up. I think Jameis could have done the same thing, and they would be 7-4 this year. I don't think Tom Brady has barely moved the needle at all.
Sheesh. People mention him in the GOAT conversation. I know a lot of people say the GOAT conversation's overrated, whatever, but a lot of people mention TB12 in that conversation to say he's not moving the needle on a team. That is a hot take. I tell you what, Chris Brown, I need you to follow that up. Hot take on the NFL.
It's going to be hard to follow that one up. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was in the boat saying, Jameis Winston didn't play bad last year. You would think Tom Brady would change everything around, but he didn't. So here's my hot take. The Pittsburgh Steelers, right now they're 10-0. Everybody says they're the favorite. Everybody says they're the best team in the NFL. My hot take is the first game they play in the playoffs, don't matter who they play, they're going to lose. And here's why. Who's the Pittsburgh Steelers really played? I mean, they played the Ravens. Okay, they really should have lost. I mean, their offense couldn't do anything. Their defense got bailed out from poor play by Lamar Jackson. They played the Titans. The Titans dominated them in the second half, got off to a slow start. They never had a convincing win this entire season unless it was against a bad team. You take my Philadelphia Eagles. We should have beat them, and we could have beat them. So injured, it was not a convincing win. They beat the Cleveland Browns. I mean, who really has faith in them? They beat the Cincinnati Bengals, but they're injured, young. That's not the team that, beating up on is going to give you any props. They beat up on Jacksonville, the same type of team. You almost lose to Dallas. When you look at the rest of the schedule, they have Baltimore in week 12. You have Buffalo week 14, Indianapolis week 16, then Cleveland week 17. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose some of those games, but even if they somehow manage to go undefeated, when they get into the playoffs, they will lose. I don't trust their offense. Their defense can get rained on. Their defense can be beat. And I'm sticking to it. They haven't had a convincing win on a good team all year. Most teams had a convincing win on a good team or had a great performance. This team is yet to have a great performance. I think they're frauds. I think they're pump faking everybody. When they get into the playoffs, they will get beat.
Man. Wow. We'll talk about hot takes on both of those. Tom Brady not moving the needle. The team that's currently undefeated getting in not a first round exit, maybe because they may have the first round bye, but the first time they play, they're getting eliminated. I'm going to go with something different. I'm going to go based on a player myself. I'm going to go with the guy holding the helm right now in Dallas. I'm going to go with Andy Dalton. I think that this last down the stretch, I think he's going to work his way into a starting position on a different team next year. Right now, he had that decent game against the Vikings, but going forward, he plays the Washington football team. He takes on the Baltimore Ravens, which is going to be a little bit tough. But then he faces a Joe Burrow-less Bengals, the 49ers, the Eagles, and then the Giants. These are not exactly the best defenses, and I think some coach is going to bite on this, but probably on a somewhat decent performance of Andy Dalton, and I think they're going to see up against some terrible defenses, minus the Baltimore Ravens. That defense has been all right, but everybody else, I think he's going to play okay, and they're going to find a way to. Some coach is going to take a chance on him. I mean, there's people right now that are getting starting spots such as Taysom Hill, such as Gardner Minshew, such as there's other quarterbacks around the league, Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco. I think somebody's going to take the chance on Andy Dalton the way he's going to play after these remaining weeks in the NFL season. So that wraps up hot takes for that. I saw a couple of comments. What was that Taysom Hill one I saw from Adam? Throw that one back up there if we can. Taysom Hill will remain the starter and go undefeated as the starter. Tell Drew Brees to come back till Drew Brees comes back.
I don't see Drew coming back. I think Drew's done. I think Drew is done. I thought he was going to retire after this year, regardless of what happened. Regardless, they went to the Super Bowl, lost, how they always lose in the playoffs. But with this injury being so severe, I do not see Drew Brees coming back. I think he's just going to retire. Personally, I have my thoughts on Drew Brees, regardless, though he's great.
No, absolutely. I want to say I used that as my hot take not too long ago on an episode not too far away. I had mentioned that even whenever we didn't know the severity, we thought it was just 5 ribs in the collapsed lung. It turned out to be 11. It turned out to be way more than it actually is. And I said that on my hot take, we saw the last of Drew Brees. We thought at least, we thought he was done. But I mean, Taysom Hill going undefeated, yeah, that's definitely a hot take. But the Drew Brees coming back is where I may have to disappear on that one, because I don't know if we're going to see him come back, unfortunately, which would be the end of a great era for Drew Brees, and especially in the Saints. But We're going to move on. We're going to go into our first hot topic of the day. We're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa, the guy who stepped in for Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins, man, turned the franchise around. They were bottom feeders at the bottom of that division. Then all of a sudden they're pushing for a wild card spot. We see him go 11 for 20 against the Denver Broncos for only 83 yards. And all of a sudden Brian Flores yanks him from the game. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that because, you know, if you're sitting there putting in a guy that you think is going to be the new franchise quarterback and you're convinced that this is the guy, you're going to go forward with him. And now he's even announced that he's going to be the starter next week. Why would you pull him? I'm going to start with Chris on this one. I want to get your opinions. What were your thoughts about Brian Flores benching Tua?
Tua should have never been playing in the first place. As soon as they decided to say, okay, Tua's going to be the starter, I said, it's going to go bad. It's going to go bad. Why? You don't need to rush putting Tua in. They were playing great. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick, no, I'm not going to sit up here and say he's Tom Brady, sit up here and say he's Aaron Rodgers, but we all know somehow he finds a way to win games. They were on their way to winning and making himself into the wild card team. You put in Tua for what? Because as soon as he plays bad, you're going to have to pull him. That's messing up his confidence. You don't mess up a rookie quarterback's confidence. If you're going to put him in, you should never pull him out. If this team is not a rebuild mode, for everybody saying they're in rebuild mode, you don't make all the draft picks they did. You don't make all the free agent acquisitions that they did. You want to go in a rebuild mode. This team was trying to win. I'm not saying that they're going to win a division. Other people think so. I think the Bills have it, but I do think they can make a wild card spot. So regardless, Tua should never been in. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick should have been a guy until he loses 4 or 5 games straight. And he didn't do that this year. He was playing like a quality starter. So I don't understand why they put Tua in, and then they took him in. Now they saying he's going to start next week. It's just all bad. It's just all bad. It starts with the front office. If you're going to put him in there, he should have never been taken out the game in the first place. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm going to follow you up. It was very clear that Miami is in a win now mode as opposed to a win later, especially when they went out and threw all that money at Byron Jones. I mean, that was a free agent corner, and that's not a type of name that you go out if you're trying to win later. This is definitely a win now move. But hey, there you go. What up, Coach Cam? There you go. You got
what up, D?
already. But yeah, no, Coach Cam, we'll move on to you. Let's get your opinions on Tua getting benched.
It don't make no sense. I said this from the start. You know, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, you lose the locker room with. First off, you know, you had a guy in there that was playing well. Okay. And then, you know, Tua had a honeymoon period where the defense scored touchdowns for him. Special teams scored touchdowns. He didn't have to do much. You know, this guy's barely throwing for 150, 160 yards. He's struggling to do so. And they're really protecting this kid at all costs. I mean, you know, they're giving him, you know, basic plays, basic reads. You know, you're pretty much, you know, predetermined where it's going to go. If it's not there, try to get out of there and throw it away. But Tua, you know, Tua's not ready. Tua's not ready, and I don't think, you know, you got to think they have, you know, when you have a group of quarterbacks like that and they have like 3 in the top 10, normally only 2 are good or 1 is good, never all 3. I think Tua's going to be the odd man out on this one. You got Burrow, you got Herbert that show what they can do and show, you know, how they can perform. Tua's just not on their level. It's that simple, and I just don't see it in Tua. I don't see it at all. The arm strength that I saw in Alabama, I don't see it in the NFL. I don't see it translating. I don't know if the anticipation's not there, you know, because that helps Burrow. Burrow has the strongest arm, but his anticipation is great. You know, so I don't know, man. I don't like that he benched him. You know, if he gonna struggle, let him struggle all the way through. Let him struggle. Let him go 15 to 38. You know, a couple picks. Let him struggle. You know, that's part of getting better, and that's part of the rookie hump sometimes that you go through. I don't understand pulling him like that, and then you're asking Ryan Fitzpatrick to say today. It's not fair to him either. So, yeah, Brian Flores, I like him as a coach, but he got to be careful here. You got to be really, really careful.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really understand the point. If you're going to go with Tua, why don't you commit to him? I don't know why you would pull him, especially if he's supposed to be your franchise guy. Your franchise guy, no matter if he's Gardner Minshew, no matter if he's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter. You're going to have bad games. Mm-hmm. And yes, I saw the Kendall comment that said that the O-line was terrible and that he allowed 5 sacks. But I'm going to kind of follow up what Chris was saying that he couldn't start, that he shouldn't be starting right now. Because if you look at all the rest of his games, he only has one game over 170 yards. That's not starting quarterback caliber in the NFL, not by any means. I don't care how bad your O-line is. If you want to go take a look at terrible O-lines, look at Coach Cam and look at Joe Burrow. Look at Carson Wentz over there in Philly. Look at Nick Foles out in Chicago. I mean, it is what it is. I tell you what, we may have bad performances, but we don't have 160 yards bad performances. There may be some interceptions and everything, but also Tua is a little bit more conservative whenever it comes to it. Similar to a Carson Wentz where he may hold the ball a little bit too long and he may just take the sack as opposed to throwing the interception. But Tua's been really hesitant about it at all times. I mean, he will definitely take the sack before he throws the pick, which is really weird, especially coming off such a bad hip injury. I don't know. I don't know where I feel about this because Chris is right. Fitzpatrick wasn't doing anything too bad. Nope. I mean, he was holding his own. It's not like Miami was the Jets. They weren't 0-10. They weren't at the bottom of the barrel. They were getting dubs. It just wasn't coming together exactly. It wasn't complete. It wasn't one-sided, but it wasn't complete. And they haven't been one-sided since Tua took over. So I don't know. Personally, I agree with both of you. I think Tua has been the guy that's going to fall out. Personally, whenever I was looking at these three, I thought Tua was behind the curve between Herbert and Burrow. But when was the last time you saw a competent quarterback come out of Alabama? At least from a quarterback standpoint. That's the one position. They can be – I don't care what you want to call Alabama. I don't care if you want to call them defense U, DBU, RBU, wide receiver U. I don't care what you want to call them. But they're not quarterback U. They're definitely not QBU. That is terrible. The most successful quarterback in their franchise has been A.J. McCarron, and that should let you know what kind of quarterbacks you're getting out of Alabama. But sorry for the little mini rant there. Sometimes I got to take the pressure off Chris. Somebody else has got to do a little mini rant sometimes.
It's the truth, though. I mean, you can't get mad at the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you're an Alabama fan, by all means, but you can't tell me that you've been happy with any other quarterback. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into quarterbacks and everything.
Yep. Joe Namath, the only guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Back in the day.
And that's back in the day.
Back in the day. Back before they were Alabama, Yeah. But I'm sure we're going to get into people like Mac Jones and stuff like that later on, closer to the draft and everything like that. But, man, I tell you what, it's something about that Alabama quarterback. It's not exactly – promising, but
yes,
we'll move on to somebody who has been promising his whole career. In fact, one of the greatest, Tom Brady. We saw the Rams and the Bucks face off last night. Went in favor of the Rams. Rams were able to take the victory, and now the Bucks have lost. I want to say their 4th game now of the season, and a lot of people, question a lot of different things about the Bucks, but. Let's talk about Tom Brady for a minute. Let's hold him accountable. Let's talk about his performance. Let's talk about everything that's been going on with Tom Brady. Coach Cam, I want to get your opinion on this. Why is nobody going to Brady? Why is nobody saying Brady's name whenever it comes down to it? It's always point the blame everywhere else.
Yeah, because it's this, when you have won so much, you build up equity. You see what I mean? You build up equity. You build up cushion to where, it can't be Tom Brady's fault. This can't be the reason why they're losing. And it's hard to say. It's hard to believe. But you got to see what you see. I told people, I said, look, that pressure up the middle, that's going to get to Tom Brady. He going to throw off his back foot and throw ducks. I said that. And he threw 2 ducks in the middle of the field that cost him that game yesterday. And I sat there and watched that. I had to cut it off. I said, man, he just threw another duck. It was off back foot. It was just like how I called it, pressure up the middle. He's 43. He's not the same Tom Brady that he was. He has to have the running game working. He has to have a defense. I'm looking at the stats. He's not pushing the ball down the field at all. He can't. Antonio Brown, 8 catches, 57 yards. I mean, what is that? 7 yards a catch? I mean, that's nothing. That's not a threat. That's not, so you're not using Antonio Brown to his fullest. You can't use Mike Evans to his fullest because he's a go-getter, jump ball getter, and he can't push it down there. And one thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna give it to Chris. I'm sick and tired of people not addressing Tom Brady. Every time he lose, he run off that field real quick. Don't
Yes.
shake the other quarterback's hand. Don't
Howard.
shake nobody's hand. Come on, bro. You don't want 6 of them things. 6. You can't shake nobody's hand after a loss. But when you win, when you beat up on the Panthers last week, oh, you were sure to run across the field and shake PJ Walker's hand. You know, when you win against Aaron Rodgers, you were sure to hug him up, dap him up, let him know good job and that. But as soon as you ran off the field with Nick Foles, you ran off the field this week. As somebody need to call this dude out. He's a sore loser, and he shouldn't be a sore loser when you got 6 rings. Keep the same energy that you have when you win. Walk off the field with your head up, and you shake the other quarterback's hand. It's like he'll shake maybe the Drew Brees' hand if they lose or something like that. But he ain't shaking the Nick Foles hands or the ones he feel like beneath them. That's weak. That's weak to me, and I'm sick of Tom Brady in that act.
You ain't ever gonna see Tom Brady go shake Jared Goff's hand. I can tell you that. No,
Right.
definitely not, and definitely not Nick Foles. As a Bears fan, I can promise you that didn't happen. But yeah, no, I'm gonna move to you, Chris. Let's get your opinion on the matter.
I mean, you gotta realize, like Coach Cam said, when you win, they're scared of you. They're scared to say, "Oh, he did this bad." They're scared to put any blame on him because he won 6 championships in the past on a different team. This is a new Tom Brady. So you should be looking at Tom Brady like every other quarterback. Tom Brady has a bad game. Tom Brady's the reason why that his teams lose. Talk about him like you talk about Carson Wentz. Talk about him how you talk about Cam Newton. Talk about him how y'all talk about Lamar. I mean, talk about him. Talk about Nick Foles, Mitchell Trubisky. If he's going to play this bad, then you think people will hold him accountable, but they don't because they're scared. They're scared to put the blame on Tom Brady. See, me, Coach Cam, Will, here at ASAP Real Talk, we'll put the blame on who the blame needs to be on. And it's on Tom Brady. You can't have that type of performance. You can't get outplayed by Jared Goff and think nobody's going to come to you and say, "Oh, you didn't play the best game. Oh, you're one of the reasons why. You threw 2 interceptions, Tom Brady. You didn't get everybody involved, Tom Brady. Missed 22 passes, Tom Brady." I mean, it's time for people to start holding Tom Brady accountable. Like Coach Cam said, you look at them right now, they're 7-4. Would the record be any different if Jameis Winston was still the quarterback? Now, me personally, going into the year, I thought this team would be better because you look at them last year, they went 7-9, and 6 of those losses were about a touchdown or less. He said he did it because he didn't really know. I don't want to hear it. See, that is what you call that's a coward move. That's a coward move.
That is awful. I don't
even make no sense. I ain't got to know you to tell you good game.
And you played him in the Super Bowl. So what you mean? So you get you twice? Okay, coward. That's what it's showing. He going out sad. But nobody's going to call him out because, oh, he did this in the past. Oh, he did this. It's not the past. This is the present. This is right now. Talk about Tom Brady, how he is when he's playing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's not playing like the best quarterback. He goes against good competition. He shows up sometimes, not all the time. I think the best team that they did beat is the Packers, if I'm not mistaken. The Saints beat him up twice. He looked bad. Now he has to go against Kansas City. We're going to talk about that right after this. But listen, man, it's time for people to start holding Tom Brady accountable. I don't want to hear, "Oh, he's the GOAT. Oh, he's the GOAT." Because, I'm sorry to switch sports, but this is just my analogy. Everybody knows how I feel about LeBron, right? But they hold LeBron accountable for everything. LeBron could have one decent or bad game, and they say, "Oh, he's terrible. He's trash. He can't do this. He can't do that." But Tom Brady could have a terrible performance, like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, but yeah, he gets a pass. So hold Tom Brady accountable like how you hold everybody else accountable. That's just how I feel.
I got a question for both of you, and I'll defer it both to you guys because this is my theory on the matter. I feel like a lot of people don't hold Tom Brady accountable because everybody goes back to what is it, the Brady or is it the Belichick effect? Which one is it that really held the most power? And right now, if you look at the Patriots as compared to the Bucks, the Bucks have more wins, and so everybody just, especially the casual fans, just automatically assume, "Oh man, Brady must have held all the power. Brady must have done all this, done all that." They're obviously have more wins without it. Bill Belichick doesn't do all this, so it's not Brady's fault. Brady's in the right. And so that's kind of my theory on the matter. I feel like everybody just kind of points the finger and be like, "Oh, well, Tom Brady could do this over there. Tom Brady could do this over there." the man's been with the Patriots his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
The man's moved into a brand new system with brand new personnel. I don't care how good the players are. It's brand new. I mean, everything is new to him, and he's 43. The man has known everything. He's known consistency. He's known the same thing his whole entire career. He wakes up, goes to Gillette Stadium, and then he comes home. I mean, it's what he did every single day. Now, all of a sudden, he's doing it not in New England. He's doing it in Tampa Bay. He's not going to Gillette Stadium. He's going to Raymond James. He doesn't have that Edelman guy out there that he threw to his whole career. Now he's got Mike Evans. And, yes, the wide receiver core is an upgrade. But it's just different for him, And now, so things are going to be different for him. He's not exactly. I didn't expect him to do Tom Brady things. I mean, he's 43. At a point, you gotta hang it up. But that's just my opinion. But I think a lot of people look at the.
He's like Drew Brees right now. He doesn't have the arm strength.
Them deep balls he threw, he could have threw about 4 interceptions. One deep ball he had Mike Evans down the sideline, had his man beat probably about 3 yards. And the ball stayed in the air probably for it felt like 10 seconds. Safety pretty much almost there to pick. I'm just like.
And you speaking fact, because I remember watching the Saints game the second time they played, and he threw a lot of ducks when you talking about deep balls. So it's just like you put Tom Brady on this team with all like this team is legit loaded. There's no reason why they're losing the games they're losing. They had wide receivers, they more than check the box. Mike Evans, Godwin, and you have Antonio Brown. You still have Gronkowski at the tight end position. Then you have 2 studs at the running back, and you only run the ball 18 times. If your quarterback isn't getting it going, you have a good enough running back tandem to be dominant on a running game. Then your defense is outstanding.
And to that point, it's not even just Gronkowski. They also got O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate, who are a lot better than some teams starting tight ends.
I would take one of them right now.
O.J. Howard's hurt, but Brate is still there doing his thing. Brate, so it's like this team is loaded with weapons, and man, let's go on into the next topic because I got a hot take for the next topic.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's a lot of things like people really need to start holding Tom Brady accountable. At a point, I mean, it'd be different if those interceptions or jump balls, they're getting ripped out of a wide receiver's hands. But when you're laying it up for the defense, I mean, obviously it's going to get taken advantage of, and that's exactly what happened last night. I'm pretty sure I predicted the Rams win on the Sunday night post game, and I'm glad I'm the only one who took them because it made me feel much harder. But moving on to the next topic, we're going to talk about, we're going to stay on the Bucs. Actually, we're going to talk about the Bucs and the playoff. They have now fallen to 7-4. The NFC has quite a few teams that are really battling for that third wild card spot. And if the Bucs keep losing, I mean, it's just like the Ravens effect. If you keep losing, you're going to find out that you're going to be out of contention quick. So let's talk about it. Do the Bucs miss out on the playoffs? I know Chris Brown said that he has a hot take for it, so I'll go to him first.
Yeah. So when I look at their schedule, Kansas City, Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, Atlanta. I'm going to be honest. The way this team has been playing, I expect them to lose at least 2 games. I fully expect them to lose to the Chiefs. I'm going to get to that. I fully expect them to lose to the Chiefs. I feel like they have a possibility to lose to Minnesota or, Atlanta. And I do think they get into the playoffs, but I think if they play bad or have a bad performance, I don't know how longer Tom Brady is going to be the quarterback of this team because this team can honestly compete for a championship right now. Tom Brady's supposed to be the quote-unquote GOAT. But if he's playing like the worst player on your team, why keep him? That GOAT status doesn't mean anything if he's not winning right now. So I'm sick because I fully believe that take away Tom Brady at a different quarterback, this team's a championship favorite. But with Tom Brady, who knows how this team is going to compete? So I do think they're going to make a playoffs. I don't know. I think they can go past the first round. But if they look bad or lose, expect Tom Brady not to be in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform next year.
I know you had mentioned something about Tom Brady not being in at the quarterback position, but let me ask you this before I go to Coach Cam. Do you really want to put Blaine Gabbert in there over Tom Brady?
No. I'm saying
you're talking about next season.
Yeah, I'm talking about next season.
Okay. I was about to. I almost looked at you funny. I almost looked at you like I look at Freddie sometimes. All right, all right. That was close. All right, Coach Cam, I'm going to go to you.
They're not gonna miss the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs. Just the way the NFC set up. They're at 7-4 right now. They have some. There's some 5-5 teams. In there that's that's in the hunt. But really, I don't think they're gonna make a push. But they'll win the first round game just because I think they'll play the NFC East opponent. Maybe.
Hot take: if they play my Eagles, they're losing, and I'm picking my Eagles.
It
with no
depends.
hesitation.
It depends. They may lose that 5 seed. Because, they may lose that 5 seed to maybe a Cardinals or
NFC West in general.
Or you're right, the NFC West in general or Seahawks. If they don't end up with the 5 seed, they are a first round exit. Yes, and it will be time for Tom Brady to hang it up. Bruce Arians, I'm going to be honest, he's probably killing himself every night because he loves to push the ball down the field and he can't. I know it's killing him. And it's just I had the Bucs going 10-6 coming into the season. I thought they was a playoff team. I didn't think they were a Super Bowl team like everybody thought it was. I seen the writing on the wall. Eventually you get old. Tom Brady started to get old last year. We saw it. We saw it. We didn't want to believe it. We thought, he ain't had the weapons, Giving Mike Evans, giving Godwin. Let's give him AB. We looking at AB, 8 catches, 57 yards. I'm looking at that. I'm just like, that's nothing. And I'm looking at Mike Evans, who, with Jameis, normally get you 10, 11 touchdowns a year. Now, his touchdown numbers up because of the red zone, but his yards is way down. Targets way down because he's a guy that needs to get that ball in jump ball situation, one-on-one coverage, push down the field, and they can't do it. Their offense is hindered by Tom Brady. They will make the playoffs, but if they don't get that 5th seed and play an NFC East team, I really feel they are a first-round exit. And I got more to say, but I'll wait for the next segment on that. But Tampa Bay Bucs.
Yes.
First round exit is on.
Yes.
I'm adding
They
yes.
never had a franchise quarterback. This is their first legitimate, real superstar quarterback. This is the only team that I could think of that never had a real quarterback.
I can't really put them on the way. They won a Super Bowl.
Chicago Bears have never had a real quarterback. I'd like to add my team to that.
Okay. And then if I'm not mistaken, they have like the worst record. Like this team is bad. Now, yes, they won that Super Bowl. They had a stretch. But outside of that, when has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ever been good?
Training camp and preseason building that chemistry have something to do with it.
Not anymore. Not with a guy like Tom Brady who broke all the rules and told everybody come to the crib and let's work out for one. Not when you have multiple weeks to get it down packed. Right now, that shouldn't be a problem because most of the guys haven't been hurt. Most of the guys been in that lineup. You should be clicking right now. You should be ready to get to the
getting better. And then they trying to force feed AB. He had 13 targets last night.
And it's bad.
I don't like it.
And I keep saying this. If they had a quarterback that could really push the ball down the field, that can really make those deep throws, this is by far and not even close. They're better than the Chiefs. They're better because their defense is better than the Chiefs, and they have all the weapons. But the fact that Bruce Arians doesn't realize, he realizes it, but he's upset. Tom Brady can't push the ball down the field. They never really want to establish their running game, where their running game can't get going. This team's going to be a disappointment, and it's sad to say that.
I think I'm going to run with you guys. I don't think they're missing the playoffs. Whenever you look at the NFC divisional picture, I think we can all agree what it's looking like. Obviously, we have our divisional winners. And right now, it's going to come down to the second place in the NFC West. That's going to be in there easily. It's probably going to be second place in the NFC South. And then the third spot's either going to come down to third place in the NFC West or second place in the NFC North. Obviously, only one NFC East team's getting in unless something miraculously goes well. And so it's going to come down to, can the Bears or Vikings fight for a spot against that NFC West team? And ultimately, there's a lot of question marks there because right now the Rams are considered the divisional winner at 7-3. The Seattle Seahawks are behind due to tiebreaker. But then the Bucs are sitting in that 6th spot with the Cardinals sitting in the 7th. I don't know if I see the Bucs falling off enough to go down to a Vikings level or a Bears level. As a Bears fan, I don't know if I trust them to fall that much. And I don't know if I trust my Bears enough to play that well. But I know the Bucks are not the Bucks. I know the Bears have a lot of easy games coming up on their schedule. If they can figure out who their quarterback's going to be, whether it be Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, or Taylor Bray, whoever the hell it's going to be starting it behind center. If they can figure out who it's going to be, then maybe there's a chance. But I don't think they'll ultimately eliminate the Bucks. I think it would only eliminate third place in the NFC West, because they're going to have a lot of divisional games coming up that's really going to make or break the playoffs. So ultimately, no, I think the Bucks are still going to be there. But I agree with Coach Cam. I think if they don't go up against the NFC East, if they don't go up against the winner of that division, and maybe with hell, I'll go with it. Even with Chris's Eagles, I don't know if I trust him. I'll be honest. And the way that a team has to go into the playoffs in that division, a team could really honestly get hot and take out the Bucks. There's no real telling. And so, I don't know how well they'll stand against somebody like the Rams. Obviously, we've seen them play them. I don't know how they'll contend against the Packers. I don't know how they'll contend against the Saints. We've seen them get beat up twice by them. It's going to be tough for Tampa Bay if they don't find a way to get a number one spot in the division, which is going to be tough. But Taysom Hill is going to have to hold his own as well. So let's go back to the group. Do you think it's because going to AB too much makes them lose focus on their game plan? Do you think that the Bucks are trying to force feed Antonio Brown having him there?
I mean, they're force feeding him, but it's not AB's fault. I mean, at the end of the day, you can still establish the running game if you knew how good your running backs are. You still have other receivers. So, I mean, yes, they're trying to force feed AB. Yes, he is the number one guy. But, I mean, when you got Tom Brady that can't take deep shots, then he's going to go on the guys that get open in those intermediate routes. And right now it's, AB, you got Godwin. Evans really that deep guy. And I think, he's not getting utilized to his full strength coming to Philly. Sorry.
Chris, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
I went out.
Yeah, you went out.
Yeah,
we're going to need that again. I didn't realize I had my mic on mute, so I was sitting there.
So basically, I said I'm not blaming AB. Yes, they're force feeding him, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's his fault why the game plan is not on point. If you're you're supposed to be a good head coach, realize that you have two good running backs, realize you have a lot of weapons. So yes, they're force feeding him, but I'm never going to put this blame on AB. It's not his fault that he's the guy that can run those intermediate routes. It's not his fault that he's the number one wide receiver on his team, and it's not close. Tom Brady has to do a better job at distributing the football, and the coaches to do a better job in calling the right plays to utilize everybody's strengths.
Yeah, before I go on to Coach Cam, I don't want people to sit there and think that since they've gone 0-2 since signing him, that this is all of a sudden Antonio Brown's fault. I mean, he came in against his first game was against the Saints, and this was a Saints team that beat him already earlier in the season. And then they went on to take on the Rams, who are contending for a divisional spot and have proven time and time again that their defense can, have their way with an offensive line and then really put pressure on a quarterback. And we've seen how Tom Brady has performed under pressure, and it hasn't been good. So, I don't know if you can blame it on Antonio Brown. Coach Cam, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm definitely not blaming AB. I mean, and I had to kind of chill out. It was the same situation with the Bengals. I went off on the left guard, Michael Jordan, who gave up the sack on Joe Burrow, gave up the hit. And I'm like, man, it's not his fault. They put him in a situation like that. You know what I mean? He doing the best he can. We know he sucks, but the coach put him there, and and that happened. So that's not his fault. That he's in that situation. He shouldn't be in that situation anyway. The Bucs shouldn't be in a situation where they're only running the ball 18 times. They should be running the ball 25, 30 times. That's where they at right now. And but Bruce Arians is a pass first type of guy. And they got the weapons and they feel like they can throw it around, and it just simply hasn't worked. I mean, everybody, like I said, everybody was so hyped about the acquisition, Gronk, and then I'm like, Gronk ain't played in a long time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Gronk is still good, but he's not the Gronk that, was that prime Gronk, that number one target Gronk when you need a 3rd and 7, you're going to 87 and it's automatic. It's not there. It's not that anymore. But I'm not blaming Antonio Brown for getting 13 targets. He just playing the game, and they trying to throw it to him. Can't be mad at that. I'm not mad at Antonio Brown, but I just think they got too much going on. They got too much going on with no identity, and they're a lost football team. From week to week, they don't know what they're gonna do. They don't know, and that's a recipe for disaster. But I'm not blaming AB for that.
The thing I look at is that the number one thing that whenever you guys listen to post game press conferences or anything, if the offense is stagnant, what's the one thing the coach always says? They say, well, we didn't establish the run. And that's the one thing they always fail to do. You talk about 18, 19 attempts a game. They should be doing 30. They had a game in which they ran 5 times. 5. They have Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. I am sick to my stomach the fact that they are keeping him from running 20 plus a game, Fournette or Jones, or at least both of them. Like they're with this kind of running backs. Why would you even go out and go get Fournette if you're not going to use him? And we've seen Ronald Jones. We've seen what he can do. He put up 100 rushing yards against a Bears defense who has only allowed one 100-yard rusher all season, and it was Ronald Jones. They stopped Derrick Henry. They stopped Dalvin Cook, and yet this guy runs 100 yards over over a defense that couldn't even be done by some of the league's best backs. And now you're going to abandon the running game? Like I don't know, man. You want to talk about an identity? I think Bruce Arians knows exactly what his identity is, and as mentioned, it's a pass first kind of guy, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's just putting all of his eggs into one basket, and that's the problem. Is that every single game that any offense goes stagnant, you will always hear, "Oh, we didn't establish the run. We couldn't do this." I mean, if you don't establish the run, you don't have play action. You don't have anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't do whenever, and especially if a defense at this level knows you're going to go pass. You don't stand a chance. I mean, if they know exactly what you're going to be doing, you don't stand a chance. So the Bucs need to figure something out, and they need to figure it out quick because it could go downhill south, especially whenever we get to the playoffs. But let's move on. Let's go on to our next topic. We're talking about the NFL teams that we mentioned a team that kind of put all their chips in one basket. They really did everything they could to put it all together. Let's talk about an NFL team that after this year should break it all down. What team do you think should just break it all down, blow it all up after this season, and start fresh? I'm going to go to you, Chris Brown. We'll talk to you first.
My Philadelphia Eagles. Flat out. We need to blow it up after this year. The head coach needs to be gone unless he's going to let go of his play calling rights. He needs to be out of here. I need a new defensive coordinator. We have too much money wrapped up in old players that aren't producing to the level that they should be. Jason Peters should not be allowed to touch a football field ever again after the performance he had all year, but especially against the Cleveland Browns. We have so much money wrapped up in our offensive defensive line, and they're always getting banged up. That's a problem. You look at Alshon Jeffrey. He's been playing like trash since he came back. Now, granted, he hasn't played in a while. He needs to get his feet under him. Hopefully, this next stretch of games, he can start to be a decent receiver. But if not, he needs to go. I'm sorry, but Deshaun Jackson might have to go. And I love Deshaun Jackson, but that's just the truth, man. We need to get rid of all these old guys that aren't performing, that aren't producing, that's hurt year after year after year. We need to start with a new identity. We need to build around the guys that are there every week that we can count on. Because, listen, we have much money wrapped up on players that's not playing. That's bad for your franchise. This much money wrapped up on players that aren't producing. That's bad for your franchise. We need a fresh start. We need to build while we can before these players like Carson Wentz, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert aren't here no more. Because those, add Jalen Reagor, those are our 4 best players on the offensive end outside of that offensive line. Because, Diller's hurt. He's going to be left tackle next year. You got Samalu. Brooks is always getting hurt. One of the best right guards, but the dude's always getting hurt. Lane Johnson is not having the best year. So, our offensive line is getting hurt. They're older, and there's a lot of money wrapped up to them. So, after this year, I feel like we need to blow it up. If we got to, go in the trust the process or rebuild mode, I'm not going to trip because I want to see winning football, not a whole bunch of money wrapped up in the players that aren't doing anything.
Coach Cam, I'll move to you. What team do you think should blow it on up after this season?
My Cincinnati Bengals, I'm going full homer.
Me too.
I'm going full homer on this. We need to blow it up. And it's not so much the roster, it's the damn coaching staff. They have to go. There was an article came out today that the locker room is, very toxic and that there's just lack of accountability throughout the locker room. Certain players get longer, certain players get treated differently. Hearing the defensive coordinator calling players out of their name, using the B word, things like that. And, remember, Jim Turner is on this damn staff. Excuse my language. Jim Turner's a terrible person. He was part of that bullying scandal with the Miami Dolphins that messed up their locker room. He was, at Texas A&M when he got fired, for making sexist remarks. This guy's a terrible. He has a history of this as well, and I hear that he's one of those coaches in there, acting a fool. And it got some nerves because I think that Zach Taylor is running around with no control in that locker room. It's disgusting. We need to blow that up immediately. And it's not so much the roster, it's the coaching staff. I need every last single position coach, coordinator fired. I mean, every last one. Maybe the special teams coordinator Darren Simmons can stay. Everybody else has to go. And they have to go immediately. You don't act like this. What it sounds like is you put a game plan together. We go out there and we do the game plan. It doesn't work, and you cuss them out and you get mad. No, you're trash coaching. Your trash coaching staff. 4-19-1. What grounds do you have to talk to players like that? You're not a winners. So outside of like I said, I think the roster is okay. Of course, we got to add the line. Of course, we need some defense. But as far as the coaching staff, blow the whole thing up.
Should we go 3 for 3? Should we stick with homing?
Go homer. Go listen. Be a homer, right? Be a homer.
Yep. At least I'm going to be a homer whenever it comes down to that my team should blow it up, because I'm not going to come out here and be delusional. I'm not going to come out here and say that, oh, my Bears have a shot. They don't. Okay, let's all be honest. All right, we all know that Nick Foles is not the answer. We all know this. The Philadelphia Eagles front office knew it. The Jacksonville Jaguars front office knew it. Now the Chicago Bears front office should know it as well. The one thing that the offense really has going for it is Allen Robinson, and that's the one piece we won't re-sign. I don't understand how this man's in a contract year. This man's been making irrelevant quarterbacks look like Jesus since he's been joining and since he's been in college football. I mean, the guy had terrible quarterbacks at Penn State. The guy looked great in Jacksonville, made somebody like Blake Bortles look amazing, or at least look competent. He's made Nick Foles look good. He's made Mitch Trubisky look good on sometimes. I'm tired of hearing it. Like, I am so sick and tired of hearing it. This is the one guy that needs to come in. I mean, this is the 100%. This is the one guy in the offense that needs to stay, and this is the one guy they won't do. We have an absolute Super Bowl caliber defense, and we're not going to get anywhere with Nick Foles and Matt Nagy's offensive calling or offensive plays, anything such as that. Bill Lazor obviously isn't the answer. We saw that against Minnesota. I know it's just one game, but he has a track record in the past that isn't exactly too great either. Coach Cam can tell you all about that. I mean, it's not the end. We've made so many terrible decisions as an organization, and we've made so many great decisions on the defensive side between Vic Fangio and this amazing defense, and then we leave. Vic Fangio leaves, and we go get Chuck Pagano. I mean, for some reason, the defensive side of the ball is so great. But we're going to go get a new franchise quarterback, or at least we're going to attempt to go get a franchise quarterback in this upcoming draft. And if they don't have Allen Robinson, it's going to be a wide receiver core led by Anthony Miller, and that's not great. And we need to get rid of this team and at least get what we can get out of it as soon as possible.
Let's talk about this. Everybody knows I'm an Eagles fan. Everybody know I hate the Cowboys, right? But when they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I knew they were going to be trash. And here's why. It's not because CeeDee Lamb is a bad player, but it's because why are you drafting wide receivers when the only reason you win is when you hand the ball off to one of the best running backs? So by them drafting CeeDee made me realize, okay, they care more about Dak and what Dak's going to do, or they think Dak is the way to go to win instead of Zeke. So I don't know what they're going to do to get it together, but that's the new coaching staff. One, they let everybody on defense, the defensive coordinator for them needs to get fired. Speaking from a straight football standpoint, defensive coordinator needs to get fired. They need to add some players on defense. I don't know what they're going to do on that offense, but you have all those weapons. You don't need all of them. You need 2 wide receivers, maybe another guy. You don't need 3 number ones. You need a decent tight end. You need a healthy old line and get a ball to Zeke if you want to be a good football team again. But if not, please continue to do what you do, the Dallas Cowboys organization and Jerry Jones. Let my franchise be bad and still thrive, okay? You guys can be the overhyped team and suck. I love it. because that's what they are. The overhyped team that's always trash. I knew they were going to be trash this year. Once they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I knew it was over.
There are defensive pieces on that side of the ball that really should not be performing this bad. I mean, whenever this defense has been almost historically terrible, at least today, at least in today's game this year in general, with guys like Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, they have the star power. And what are you missing? I mean, I thought whenever they signed Mike McCarthy to be the head coach, I thought it was like I instantly thought it was a terrible decision.
Yeah,
I was like, that's not the guy. I was like,
I loved it.
I'm sure you did. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And as a guy who really hates listening to Cowboy fans go absolutely nuts, I enjoyed it myself. But no, if you're wanting to win, why would you go there? I was just so confused. And I mean, whenever you look at his track record in Green Bay, everybody talks about, Aaron Rodgers could be the GOAT. He just, he never really had a defense to help him out. Well, guess who the head coach of those teams were? Guess who didn't have a defense? Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has never played defense, never had a coaching staff that could run a defense in his life. I mean, this guy has been absolutely abysmal on the opposite side of the ball. And I don't know what they were thinking, especially with all the young guys that they're trying to build. Like, I don't get it. I'm sure Chris was having a field day dancing in his room, but
I loved it.
Terrible decision on the Cowboys' end. I think if you're going to blow something up out there, it needs to be that coaching staff because terrible. All right. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting fired up today. I like it. All right. But that brings us to the end of our NFL topics. We're going to jump into the NBA. But first, we've seen a couple of comments and everything being thrown up here. We're appreciating everybody who is getting in the comment section. Chris, if they keep it up, what can they do?
Listen, I see everybody in the comments. I see everybody watching. Make sure you keep commenting, like the video, share the video, like the page, share the page. Whoever does that most at the end of the month will be crowned the viewer of the month, and they will get their very own free ASAP Network t-shirt.
Man, I tell you what, it's the 24th of the month. It's coming up at the end of the month. Some people may be a little bit behind on comments. If they still want a t-shirt, how can they get that?
If you still want a t-shirt, message us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Stretch to $25 plus shipping and handler. You're going to get your very own ASAP t-shirt to you ASAP.
Oh, that's written so well. All right, perfect. We're going to start off with the hot takes in the NBA per usual. I went to Coach Cam first for the NFL hot take, and I'm going to go right back to you. I need an NBA hot take right now from you, Coach.
Oh, NBA hot take. Ooh. NBA hot take. I have to do it. I have to do it, man. DeMarcus Cousins doesn't make the Rockets better. He doesn't make the Rockets better. This is a guy that's coming off a torn ACL, Achilles. Now, I say Durant can come back and be fine. Durant has a different build. Durant is thinner, not as much weight, to move around. The way the Rockets want to play, he's, just kind of dragging up and down the court. Defensively, he's awful. And really, he slowed Golden State down too at times. He didn't make Golden State that much better. In the finals, it kind of showed you that. I mean, he was just kind of just a shell of himself, and you add another injury on top of that. I don't think DeMarcus Cousins makes this team better. As a matter of fact, I'll go further than this, and this is my real hot take. Before the end of the season, DeMarcus Cousins will fall out of the rotation completely for the Houston Rockets.
Sheesh. On the face. I have to go to Chris. Chris, your rebuttal.
Just to answer this question, no, it's not a T-Mac poster. That is my guy, Allen Iverson, right there. Shout out to T-Mac, though. He should have been a Philadelphia 76er. Y'all don't know about that. In 1999, we was going to make that move, but it fell through. Just imagine. But here's my hot take. It's not going to be as hot as Coach Cam's. I mean, that surprised me because everybody know how high I am on DeMarcus Cousins. But my hot take is that Wiseman, not only will he win Rookie of the Year in a landslide, he'll be one of the best centers this year. Point blank, period. I mean, when you look at this team, right, you lose Klay Thompson, you lose his shooting, you lose an offense. You get Kelly Oubre. No, he's not going to be the shooter, but he's going to be a guy that can run the floor, He's going to have the defense. This team is going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league. That starting five, I mean, outside of Steph Curry, you got straight defenders right there. James Wiseman, to me, his game, if it evolves the way I saw it evolve, watching all his workout videos, reading all his, draft stocks and everything, this guy, one, he can run the floor, which is all you need to do to be dominant in the Warrior system. His post game is improving, but I've seen a lot of videos and reading a lot of stuff that he's able to stretch the floor out. So if this guy is able to stretch the floor out in this Warrior system, if you're able to have a center that can knock down some mid-ranges, even three-point shots, he's going to flourish. And he's going to dominate. He's going to dominate. I think this dude can average a double-double easily. I think he's going to average. He might get up to 18 to 20 points, honestly, and at least 10 to 11 rebounds. Yes, Will, I think he's going to have that type of production on his Golden State Warriors team. I think he's going to sweep it for Rookie of the Year. He's going to be one of the best centers in the game. Because if he performs like that, he's already better than a lot of these bums that everybody loved that's getting overpaid. I'm just going to put that out there right now. So I think he's going with Rookie of the Year. He's going to dominate this year.
As a man who came on here and said, wow, Freddie actually said that? I don't know.
Nah, Freddie didn't say that.
Freddie, there's no way Freddie said that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, as a man who came on here, I want to say last week and said that my hot take was that a big man was going to win Rookie of the Year for the first time in 5 years. I appreciate that take. So thank you for that. It makes me feel a little bit better. But I'm going to go over to the Eastern Conference. I'm going to talk about the Washington Wizards a little bit. I think they're going to fall down to the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and they are going to be maybe the worst team in the NBA. John Wall's coming back for the first time in 2 years, but a lot of speculation about him moving. I've seen things about the front office saying, we have no interest in moving him. We do, we don't. I don't know what exactly to believe. I think eventually he's going to get moved out. I really do. And with that, I know Bradley Beal's going to want to out. I know Bradley Beal's not going to want to be there if John Wall's not going to be there. And then what does it come down to for the Washington Wizards if those two are gone? If it comes down to that, what is the true identity of this team? It's going to be nobody. It really is. I'm sure they'll get a decent return for somebody like John Wall, but man, I don't know if it's going to be a good enough return to be anywhere close to competing in the Eastern Conference. I know the Eastern Conference is the softer side, but man, I just don't know. With all the speculation in the front office of the John Wall movement, with how close John Wall and Bradley Beal are, I just don't know if I can see anything really going well for this Washington Wizards team. I don't know, Coach Cam, are they on that list of yours? Are they on their
yeah,
exactly.
Oh, yeah. With the injuries, Bradley Beal, the dude was dropping 40, 50 points, losing each and every one of them, and it's just like, they just can't quite get it together. Even when they was making the playoffs those years, it was just like, they were just a bucket or two, a play or two, or just so they just couldn't quite do it. And you know what? You know how I feel about it. If you're going to hover around the 6, 7, 8 seed or below, and you're not getting top 3 picks, blow it up. Put them out on the market, both of them, and get all what you can get.
The way I look at it, man, they finish in the 9 spot, but there's only 6 games separating them from 9th and dead last, right? I mean, this Eastern Conference is not that. It's nothing to be excited about, And I know, Chris, I knew it was going to hurt you. As soon as I mentioned John Wall's name, I knew this was going to throw you off. But, baby, that's why we call it a hot take. That's why we call it a hot take.
Listen, my hot take next week is going to be steaming hot. Steaming hot. Just be prepared. Steaming hot.
I feel pretty good. I feel like that was steaming hot. I've never seen the banner come up before. I didn't even know we had that. So that was nice. It felt good. But yeah, no, I think 6 games is not that. Obviously, 6 games is not much of a difference maker. And I think the Washington Wizards front office is going to make some of those terrible decisions that are going to lead to the implosion of their franchise. And I think it's going to end up to where they are dead last in the Eastern Conference, which would make them dead last in the NBA. So West teams moves don't make them a contender or come close to beating the Lakers.
I'm gonna speak on that later, but there's no favorite in the NBA, and if there is a favorite, the Lakers are good and all, but those moves didn't make them a clear-cut favorite for anything at all. There's no favorite. Every team will and can be beat this year.
Well, I know we talked about the Lakers moves last night, so I'm gonna stray away from that. But Chris, I hear we have breaking news.
Yes, Bogdan Bogdanović the Kings decided not to match the offer sheet. So he is going to Atlanta Hawks. Coach Ham, I know I see your reaction. I personally love the move. Let's break this down. Let's chop it up about this one because the Hawks making some moves this offseason, y'all. The Hawks are making some good moves.
Yeah, they are. They are trying to work their way off my list of what can go wrong, will go wrong teams with the moves. This is a great move for the Hawks. The reason why I waved my arms like that, it wasn't because of the Hawks. The Hawks did what they were supposed to do. The Kings. What are you doing? Who do you have? How don't you retain a guy that could get you 20, a knockdown shooter? Like, I'm not understanding why De'Aaron Fox signed back. I'm not understanding. I just don't understand it. I never understand what the Kings are doing. Like, I just never do. I never get it. They drafted, Halliburton. We'll see how that goes. And I like Halliburton, but when he got drafted by the Kings, I was like, oh no, like, because it's hard to succeed there. Vlade Divac, I have no clue what he's doing. Just not to match this guy and let him walk out the door. And I understand, he's paid a nice margin, but I think it was a guy you had to keep if you're the Kings. I mean, just the year prior, you were this close to making the playoffs. And now, you're losing pieces, and you brought a coach in there that doesn't have a clue.
Terrible.
You got worse each and every year. Like, how do you bring in Luke Walton?
Terrible.
How do you bring in Luke Walton? I don't understand. I just don't understand what the Kings. Good for the Hawks. That definitely makes them better. I think they're a playoff team for sure now. I think that was kind of like the icing on the cake for them. But the Kings, they are awful. That's an awful franchise.
I thought whenever they threw the bag at De'Aaron Fox that it was kind of like the sign that they may be sticking around for a little bit and they may be trying to contend for something in the West. But man, letting Bogdan walk, I was kind of shocked that they didn't sign the offer sheet. I'm really kind of blown away by that one. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, when I look at it, it's just like, why did you sign back, Fox? Go to Miami. You'd be nice in Miami. You could win a championship in Miami.
Would be very nice in Miami.
You're not winning anything in Sacramento. They let Bogdanovich go because they believe the guy they drafted, Halliburton, he's going to be able to replace that role. Who knows? They thinking Buddy Hield's game is going to be able to step up. Who knows?
Buddy Hield don't even want to be there.
Exactly. So you see what I'm saying? But this is what this is what this organization thinks. They're waiting on Bagley to be healthy. And I will say when Bagley's healthy, he's a good player, but he has to stay healthy first. You let Giles go, who actually proved he could be a decent big man. This organization is in the tank. I'm really upset at De'Aaron Fox for re-signing. I understand your loyalty, but listen, they're never going to be loyal to you. So why be loyal to them? You don't owe anything to them. You were good enough to get drafted.
I know plenty of teams that would have thrown some money at De'Aaron Fox.
Come on now. A lot of teams would have thrown money at this guy. When we did that ranking, I had him number one. I had him number one for a reason. Yes, Trae Young, they're all good and all, but De'Aaron Fox is going to be one of the best guards in the game in the next couple of years. And the fact that he re-signed, he's not, hopefully when this is over, hopefully demands for a trade, he should not be trying to waste his prime over there like DeMarcus Cousins did, believing in this franchise. When his franchise has shown since Chris Webber got hurt, Chris Webber was traded away, they'll never be good again. And I think you lose Bogdanovich, right, with the hopes that this rookie can step up. But at the end of the day, flexibility this, flexibility that, re-sign your good players and move on from there. And you need to get rid of Luke Walton immediately. I mean, once they fired, I think that was Malone back when DeMarcus Cousins was hurt for a couple games. When your star player is hurt, you're not going to win when he's your star player. Then you fire the head coach for that. Once they did that, I knew they'll never win. They get rid of DeMarcus Cousins. They're doing all the moves to show me they'll never win. Luke Walton has to go, though. Luke Walton, he's not the best head coach. Everybody wants to pipe him up for what? Luke Walton shows he cannot control a young team. He showed that with LA. So why would you give him opportunity with this young team in Sacramento? I'm just disappointed in the Kings right now. But when I look at the Hawks, I'll keep it short and simple. I said this right after the draft. They'll be a top 6 team in the East. And after everything they're doing, they're just proving that they're going to be a top 6 team. Now, the offensive side, they're going to be nice. They're going to be nice. Now, adding Dunn, adding Rondo, Their defense is going to be able to step up. So this team is going to be legit, guys. They can beat anybody, but they can lose in anybody. That's how I look at the Atlanta Hawks, and that's a danger. That's a dangerous team to me. You could beat anybody and lose anybody. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah, one thing I'll let you go, Will. But one thing I want to say is this: they better make the playoffs. They better.
They better make the playoffs.
Because if not, I'm gonna light Trae Young's butt up. Because
me too.
It's time. It's time now. It's time for him to start putting these 30 and 10s together into wins now, especially in the Eastern Conference. So I need to see it.
There we go. Let's move on past the Bogdan deal. Let's talk about trades again. You know, we touched a little bit on trades last episode, but let's talk about a trade that we do not see coming. What is a trade that has yet to happen that we do not see coming? I'm going to go to you first, Chris. What is your opinion on this?
Everybody wants to say, you know, this team might blow it up. This team might blow it up. So blow it up, Washington. Come on, Bradley Beal. Come to Philly. We'll take you. Come on. You want to win the championship? We got the roster. Go ahead and replace Tobias Harris. Go ahead. Let's get rid of Shake. Let's get rid of some draft picks. Because adding a guy like Bradley Beal to the Philadelphia 76ers, he's that shot maker we really need in our starting lineup. Now, do I think Tobias Harris is a bad player? Not at all. But if you want to upgrade that and go get a Bradley Beal, it's going to automatically make you a better franchise. He's going to be the guy we can put the ball in his hand and get that bucket. You know, everybody now wants to say, oh, well, since John Wall is saying no comment, they might run it back. But with all this, you know, bad headlines, bad everything, I think they'll accept any good offer. Philadelphia, Daryl Morey, you've been doing everything right. Go ahead and make that call. Go get Bradley Beal. Let's go win a championship.
There you go. Hey, like I said, and that's why they'll be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Coach Cam, we're going to move to you. A trade that that has not happened yet, but you could see coming.
Yeah, I like to throw things up, you know, in the air, maybe to land somewhere. Yeah, but you know, everybody's been saying, you know, Russell Westbrook here, Russell Westbrook there. You know, I see a strange scenario coming. I see a really strange scenario coming, and it's just the way they kind of set things up. Don't be so, and they have a lot of young pieces. Russell Westbrook to the Chicago Bulls. This is why I know they got Kobe White. I know they got some young talent in the backcourt. But I think they can really move those pieces to get somebody that's going to teach, not really teach them how to win, because, you know, Brody
He ain't win nothing.
He ain't won nothing by himself. But, you know, he's a lead by example type of guy. You know, somebody that, you know, that's going to work hard night in and night out. They need that type of player in Chicago. I think, you know, and don't get me wrong, Brody, he has his shortcomings. I'm not the biggest Russell Westbrook fan, but you put him and Zach LaVine in the backcourt. Would you, if you have, you know, you have Lauri Markkanen and things like that? I think that's a bottom tier playoff team, a team that'll be, you know, formidable and solid team. But that's just you know, I like to throw stuff up in the air. But Russell Westbrook is getting moved, and it's going to be to a place that we don't expect. And I think Chicago could be a destination. Him and Zach LaVine is a dynamic backcourt.
To the Clippers?
That's possible. They need a point guard. That's very possible.
And if I'm James Harden, give me overrated Pat Beverly back. We're trying to trade with Reggie Jackson.
Yep.
See, it's funny that it's funny, Chris, that you said Bradley Beal to the 76ers, because I had you going with a different shooting guard, and feel free to react to this the way that you do. I thought VO going to the 76ers. You're not a big fan of that one? I think it could be a decent – I know you need shooting. I understand that that's your main concern, and I understand you're going to get more of that with Bradley Beal, but – I mean, I think VO wouldn't be a bad fit out there. I know that there's a little bit of rumors. You know, we're talking about a trade that we may not see coming. You know, we're talking about a player that, you know, right now trade rumors are kind of evaporating. They're kind of heading south. They're saying that VO saying, "Oh no, I got a great relationship with this coach, whatever, all this, whatever." It is what it is. But whenever it came down earlier to it, I mean, the way I look at it is that it's out there now. You know, the saying that you want to be moved is out there, and I think that's going to be looked at by the general manager. And you want to talk about, you've talked about it multiple times that you could use a shooting guard, and I think Vio could be a decent fit. I think it would work out. I mean, you may have different thoughts on it. I mean, but yeah, we're talking about a trade that we may not see coming, and it's one of those. I know he's a shooting guard, and I know he's possibly on the move. So I mean, 76ers could maybe land something like that.
Yeah, that's I'm just trying to think what my lineup would be. I would take Bradley Beal. I don't know if I would take Vio over Tobias though. I don't think that's personally. I don't think that's that. Now, if we could move Green and some other role players and some picks to get Vio, come on. But I don't know if I give it to Tobias for Vio. But yeah, that's an interesting one. I do think he's still on the move though. I think he's going to get traded. And me and Coach Cam talked about it. I wanted him to go to Dallas, but now with Josh Richardson, do they still make that move? Him in LA, do they still make that move? He's a guy I think will get traded to Philly. Who knows? But I'm curious where he goes because I don't see them doing anything spectacular in the East. It's time for them. Talking about blowing it up, Pacers need to go ahead and blow it up because you got too many good assets that you can get in return for him, for Brogdon, for Miles Turner, even Sabonis. You could be looking like the Thunder right now if they wanted to. See, the Thunder are smart. You gotta give it to them.
I think Vio reminds me a lot like in the same way that Russell Westbrook reminds Coach Cam. I think it's one of those to where he's gone, it's just where. And I think he may end up with like a strange team that you may not exactly expect. But yeah, no, it was just a team that came to my head, and I knew Vio could possibly be on the move, and it's a trade that came to me. I figured I'd run with it. But let's talk about let's go back to the big men. We talked about big men earlier and James Wiseman. Let's go back to New Orleans and talk about Steven Adams, where you just got an extension. What was the it was a 2-year extension for how much was it?
$35 million.
2 years, $35 million. I tell you what, that's a nice little bag for Steven Adams, to say the least. Coach Cam, I want to get your thoughts on the extension for Steven Adams.
I was shocked, man. I thought they was gonna bring him in, kind of, 1-year rental type of deal, see how he plays, and then kind of go from there and see how he meshes and go from there. But I mean, you know what you're gonna get with Steven Adams. Good defensive player. Solid rebounder. Just a good piece to have, a good glue guy to have on the team. But I just don't know. Giving them that extension, I just don't understand, especially when you got a young upcoming center in Jackson Hayes. I mean, you don't want to stunt his growth. I think, he has a huge upside, athleticism, could be a great defender in this league. You talk about someone that was 6'6" as a junior. So, he's used to, and he shot up between his junior and senior year in high school and went from 6'6" to 6'11". And so, he can move on pick and rolls and stuff like that. And I just thought, they would give him more of an opportunity, but maybe, he comes in to be a backup for that. But the 2 years, 35, I don't like it. But I'm guessing you can move Steven Adams if you're losing and you feel like you can move him later. But I don't know if the extension was necessarily worth it.
Chris, I'll get your opinions on it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Now, when I look at Steven Adams, yes, he gives you, he's replacing Derek Favors. And now when you look at it at that, between those two, that's a huge upgrade. Derek Favors is a little bit undersized. He's nowhere near the defender as Steven Adams is, not as good of a rebounder as Steven Adams is. So that's an upgrade. But on offensive side, I mean, we saw in the playoffs, Steven Adams is terrible in offense. Like, he literally could have single-handedly won that team the playoff series against the Houston Rockets if he just went up for layups. But, he doesn't do it. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be right now. He's going to have to be set up a lot by Lonzo, by B.I. We're going to get into that a little bit after this. But the 2 years, $35 million, I don't like it. Like Coach Cam said, I'm a big believer in Jackson Hayes. You look at this team, all their main guys are young. He's that guy that doesn't get enough minutes that I thought this next year he would get more minutes. So I just don't understand re-signing him for 2 years, $35 million. You paid too much for him just to do, decent things that Jackson Hayes could have did. So, hopefully they trade him, and hopefully Jackson Hayes takes that next step. That's what I really want to see, because if he takes that next step, I don't see Steven Adams being there much longer. But, I mean, I understand why you did it. He's an upgrade. but you just better hope he plays, better than Jackson Hayes, or you overpaid for a guy for no reason.
I get that he's an upgrade over Favors, but I was just kind of shocked to see that they're giving him an extension before he even touches the court with these guys. I mean, he hasn't played a single game with the Pelicans, and all of a sudden you're going to throw a 2-year extension on him with a 17 a year. I mean,
he's a plug and play guy for me though, because he doesn't set screens. He can pass as a big man. He's going to rebound, defend. He's the type of guy where he can fit anywhere, and that's one of his strengths. Because he's not an offensive guy, where he can fit anywhere for me.
Maybe it was just weird for me, but that's what really kind of threw me off about the situation. Obviously you definitely know more about the game of basketball than I do, but whenever it comes down to it, I mean, if I was a general manager of a team and I don't know how this guy's going to gel, I don't know how things are going to go well, and if I have literally no way to know what exactly is going to happen, unless you're one of the greats, I don't know if I could throw an extension at somebody before they even touch the court. Maybe that's just the way I think, because Steven Adams, could come off to you as somebody who could come plug in, play, come do whatever you need to be done. But let's just say something goes south. Let's say that there's a locker room issue. He hasn't even stepped foot in the locker room with these guys. I mean, we don't know Steven Adams like that. There's no telling what exactly could happen. And so I don't know if it's just me being pessimistic, because whenever I sit there and look at it, to throw an extension at somebody before he even gets the chance to meet the guys on your team, I mean, it just kind of threw me off, and then especially for $17 million a season. I mean, it's a hefty bag to throw at Steven Adams, and so it kind of threw me off. I wouldn't say it was. I wouldn't say it kind of turned me off from it, because like you mentioned, I've seen Steven Adams play a couple times. I enjoy what he does and the way he plays, but it's just interesting to see that they threw that extension at him before anything really gets going with the Pelicans. So I don't know. It kind of threw me off in a way, but I guess they have their own mind in New Orleans. But until something goes right with that, we'll keep them on Coach Cam's list for now. So. Let's talk about another extension that just came through. Bam Adebayo, a young guy out there, the big man out in Miami, just got a big extension. The man got paid. Let's go to Chris first on this one. What are your thoughts on the Bam extension?
I mean, I love it. It showed me that they're not waiting on Giannis for free agency, because the longer they waited, if he didn't get his extension, showed me that they're possibly trying to wait in free agency to get Giannis. I'm glad they re-signed this dude. He's the heart and soul of this team. You can't win without Bam Adebayo. He's the defensive anchor. Honestly, I think he's the second best player, and I don't think it's close. It's the second most important player. Him and Jimmy Butler, you can argue who's more important, but he's the heart and soul, the defensive anchor. He does so much for this team that you got to re-sign this guy. He deserves it. He's a top 5 center in the game. He's the best defensive center in the game, and it's not close. Why? Because he can guard multiple positions and still hold down the paint. No center can really do that as good as him. So I think, he definitely got the bag. He showed this year he deserved it. And we just going to have to wait and see how he plays. But, shout out to him. Shout out to Miami. You doing what you do. You're still not going to be my Sixers, but it's all love.
Coach Cam, we'll get your opinions on the Bam extension.
Good signing. You got to keep Bam Adebayo. Got to keep a talent like that, especially a young talent like that, especially where the game is going basketball-wise. Got to be able to guard multiple positions. Got to be able to play multiple positions. Bam is someone that can bring the ball up the floor. That can create for others. He's a all around player. He gives you everything. And that's what you look for in a player. Yeah, get a signing. Great signing. Like I say, the Heat got something special there. They just need a couple pieces here or there. They don't need necessarily a big old piece like Giannis, necessarily. I would like I'm not gonna lie, I would like to see them end up with someone like a Bradley Beal. That would be, if they could somehow do that or pull that, I would like that. Him and Jimmy Butler in that backcourt. With Bam, that would be nasty, I think, in the East. But they're well coached with Eric Spoelstra. They're a deep team. Bam, that signing, just solidifies them for years to come. As long as him and Jimmy there, they're gonna be a force in the East.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I don't want to beat the dead horse there, but I think Chris said it best whenever he said that Bam is the second best player at worst, I should say the second most important player at worst on this Miami Heat team. I mean, it's him and Jimmy Butler, and we all know that. But like Coach Cam said as well, they have a lot of decent role players that really they perform well. They're very well coached. It's a good scheme out there in Miami. They're really putting things together, and it is nice to see that they're not sitting there and kind of giving up on their guy, because this is their guy. This is the Heat, self-drafted from Miami. This is their product that they've built up. I would imagine that they want to go with their own guy before they go get somebody and wait it out, especially with somebody who's done so much for the team already in such a short amount of time. We see that they can contend. We've seen them in the finals already. And so it's good to see that this man got paid and got what he deserved. So,
indeed.
Moving on from that, let's talk about, we just talked about Miami, Miami being in a championship. Let's talk about a dark horse for this year's championship. There's a lot of teams that are being talked, but let's talk about a team that may not be getting their names thrown around in the pot as much. Coach Cam, I'm going to go to you first. Who is your dark horse for the NBA championship this year?
Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks is a dark horse. This is a dark horse for the NBA title. Anytime you have a top 5 MVP candidate and Luka Doncic, I read up that Porzingis will be back probably around the first of the year, so he's not going to miss that much time. You get him back. And like I say, I like the additions we made to shore up our perimeter defense. You get a Josh Richardson that, you could put on perimeter, other team better perimeter players. And listen, I'm not saying you're going to clamp them, but, make it difficult for them. That's what we, want. We got one of the most efficient offenses in the league, and I think that will continue. Josh Richardson is going to scrub on the offensive end. He's going to get looks that, there's going to be looks that he probably never seen before from Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? The attention that he gets on a night in and night out basis. Now, I understand, Ben Simmons is a good passer, but I'm talking about far as commanding the attention, all eyes on.
Ben Simmons created the most threes for anybody in the NBA.
He's not creating
the most threes.
Luka.
I feel you, but he didn't create more threes than anybody in the NBA. That's all I'm saying.
I understand that he's kicking out for threes, but you gotta forget, like Luka's throwing those lobs to KP, and different things like that. But I'm just saying, as far as the attention where he drives in, and you getting all 5 guys surrounding him, he has that kind of LeBron effect driving to the basket. As far as the attention he commands, I think and Rick Carlisle's a great coach. He shows you that if you give him a piece or two, we're a playoff team. So, you put that together, another year of season in the Luka, and I think, KP will stay healthy, and to shore up the defense. You're looking at a tough team. You're looking at a tough team that's going to be a tough out. Like I said, I thought they should have beat the Clippers round 1. I think we got hosed on some calls that really changed the momentum. But I think I like the experience. Luka showed that he's ready in the playoffs, and that doesn't phase him. And that was huge for me to see moving forward. So I definitely think I see a couple titles, coming in the Dallas in the future.
All righty. We're going to move to Chris Brown. I'm assuming you may be homing as well. But before we get to that, I'll let you take it yourself.
I'm not going to, be a homer because my team's a favorite. We're not no dark horse. My team's a favorite. So, it's 2 teams that come to mind. One team that I'm not going to say, Will, if you don't say it, I'm going to touch on it after that. This is a team that, I've been saying has been a dark horse for years, and they made the pieces this year to really be that team. But for me, it's the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the dark horse to win the NBA championship. Any team can be beat. Yes, Coach Cam, any team can be beat this year in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference. This is why I love the Phoenix Suns. You go get a Chris Paul. You do that, and I say, okay, you can make the playoffs. You'll be a good team. Him and Devin Booker, one of the best backcourts in the game. You get Chris Paul for DeAndre Ayton, setting him up. He's easily going to go to a 22, 24 type of night guy that can score. He can stretch the floor out. He can give you a double-double. He can score in the post. One of the best bigs in the game. Chris Paul is just going to enhance his game. But then you go out and you drafted Jalen Smith. Now he can start, come off the bench, but he's a versatile big man that's a double-double machine and can also stretch the floor out. And then you re-sign Dario Saric, that power forward that can do so many things good, not great, but he's a guy that you'll love to have on your team. Then you go out and sign a Jay Crowder that everybody would love to have on your team because he's grit, he's grind, he's the type of guy you want in the playoffs when you in the trenches. He's a guy that you can count on. If he's not knocking at a three-point shot, you know he's going to find a way to still help on the offensive end, whether that's setting screens, whether that's getting assists, whether that's doing back doors. See, a lot of guys, when they're not hitting their three-point shot, they just stand there. Now, he'll backdoor you. He might not knock down those 3-4 threes, but he's still going to give you double-digit points. Then you go out, you still have Cameron Johnson off the bench, who played so good last year. I know he's going to average double digits. You have Ejuan Moore, who's shooting over 40% from the three-point line. Then you have two guards in Cameron Payne and Javion Carter that can play some defense. This team, any team can be beat this year, and the Phoenix Suns will make headlines and beat some of the teams you think they can't.
That was almost more fitting for the hot take section of this show. I tell you what, I'm going to hit up one team, and I want to say, Chris, this may be the team you were thinking of. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with the Portland Trailblazers. Yep. I figured. I figured that was the team because this is the year that really says it all for Portland. And I think this is, there's a lot of rumors about it's time to blow it up. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. This is the time you got to make it happen. You got let's do it this year and let's make something happen then. Because after another year of this and another year of falling short, that's the voices are going to get louder, man. It's going to keep coming and it's going to keep coming. All of a sudden you got not aging, but you got Dame who's getting older. You got McCollum who will be getting older. And it's one of those to where the longer you sit in the league, the less you're going to get for them. The less years on their contract, the less you're going to get for them. And I know they're both coming up, or I should say, they're both under contract for a little bit, but they got Yusuf Nurkic. They got the addition of Robert Covington, which I know Chris Brown is absolutely ecstatic about.
Yes.
They got other great additions such as Rodney Hood. They brought in a couple of key signings. I thought they had a decent.
Hello.
It just keeps going. And I really do think that whenever you look at it, the Portland Trailblazers are one of those teams that have really won the offseason. They've made a lot of great moves, and I think it's time. They really need to start fighting for the Western Conference. I think they could find a way to maybe end up near the top of that Western Conference. I think they're a top 3 team right now, and I think they could be a dark horse for the NBA championship as well. You like that? Yeah, I saw your face light up a little bit.
I like it. I don't know about top 3. I do think, Kendall Lum, we're going to get to those, matter of fact, I'll address this right now. They're not sweeping everybody because this is the year, like I said, everybody can and will be beat. Not saying the Lakers are going to lose in the first round, but when I look at the teams in the playoffs, Coach Cam, I love your Dallas Mavericks, but if they end up at the AC, nobody wants to see them. No, because they should have beat the Clippers. So there's so much talent in the West. And so when I was looking at my dark horse teams, I said, okay, the favorites, but there's so many good teams. To me, Coach Cam, well, this is for me because I like the Mavs. I don't think they should be a dark horse. I think they should be one of those teams that could be looked at as the favorites. But, that's just how it is. So, and my Sixers are the favorites. But the point being is that the Trailblazers is going to shock a lot of people this year. I think they might have a chance to go to the Western Conference Finals.
See, the thing is, I like the Trail. Like I said, Dame is one of my favorite players. Outside of Luka Doncic, I love watching Dame play. I don't like the coach. I don't like Terry Stotts. I don't like him, and the pieces that you need to stay healthy never stay healthy. You need Zach Collins. You need that long defender at the rim that he's never available in the playoffs. He's never available when you need him. And that's what worries me. Your Nurkic and your Zach Collins. Or will they be available when you need them? Because they are so important. And you see it when Zach Collins go out, in that first round, it just he wasn't healthy to begin with, but it just hurt him. They couldn't guard AD. It was bad. So and of course Dame got hurt and things like that. But Robert Covington really helps them. I like the Portland Trailblazers. I just don't like the coach. I think the coach holds them back in a lot of sense. And he doesn't hold them defensively responsible either.
That's facts. That is definitely facts. I think you get a different head coach, and this team could win something because their roster, they have backups for their backups. Like you talking about Nurkic, and you talking about Zach Collins. But you went out, you got an Ennis Cancer. You went out, you got a Harry Giles. You still have guys like Nasir Little. You signed guys like Derek Jones Jr., who are roster guys that can play some minutes. So these main guys aren't playing the most minutes, you know. So your roster is beautiful, but you hit it on the head. Can we trust their head coach? That's going to be the question answered this year. And I will say this could be a hot take. They don't win this year, he's gone.
He got to be.
He has to be gone.
Yeah, he got to be.
If they don't go to at least they have to go to the finals for him to stay, in my opinion, because they've been to the Western Conference Finals before. Yeah, if they don't compete in the Western Conference Finals, he got to be gone.
The thing, like he done been through the sweep when the Pelicans swept him. Like he done been through first round exits. He done been through second round exits. He done been at some point, man. Like how long do you keep him? But you know, like I said, they're loaded. They got all what they need. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to one of our last topics tonight. We got two more going. Let's hit up this one real quick. It's been rumored from at least what I saw as the Lakers master plan, talking about LeBron and Anthony Davis trying to recruit Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is interesting, to say the least. I'm going to go with Chris just because he looks like he's about to vomit. I need your thoughts on this recruiting Giannis deal.
This is disgusting. This is like, it makes me sick. And let me tell you why. For Lakers fans that clown KD because everybody says KD is better than LeBron or KD is on LeBron level, you can no longer clown KD if you go out and you sign Giannis, because Giannis did the same move, if not worse, than what Kevin Durant did. Going and signing with the Lakers, going and signing with the best team in the NBA. If Giannis signs with the Lakers, you can no longer make fun of Kevin Durant. Then let's look at it from a basketball perspective. It won't work. It won't work. I don't see those three guys being able to gel together. LeBron isn't going to be the guy that sits in the corner. AD needs the ball. AD is going to be in the paint. I believe so. It's terrible. I don't see these three guys being able to play together, being able to be on the floor and dominate. It's nasty. It won't work. I don't like it. And I don't think he's going to go and he's going to say, "Oh, I can be LA. Oh, I can shoot movies." I don't think that LA lifestyle is what he's really looking for. I think he really wants to win a championship. I think he really wants to make a move based on basketball. And the Lakers is a terrible fit. And Coach Cam, I don't know how many times we said this on the show. If he's going to sign with somebody, talking about basketball fit, the best team would be the Mavericks.
Yeah.
The best team by far would be the Mavericks, not the Heat. Because you got a guy like Bam Adebayo that's really in the paint. The best team would be the Mavericks. The Lakers is not going to be a good fit. It's going to be nasty. And for everybody who want to say everything about Kevin Durant, take those comments back and hold Giannis accountable for joining the best team in the Western Conference with two of the top 5 best players in the NBA.
Coach Cam, are your thoughts along the same line as Chris?
Yeah, it'll be hard for it to work, man. It'll be really hard for it to work. You're talking about Giannis doesn't stretch the floor nearly enough, for the whatever position he's gonna play, the 5, the 3. I mean, where is he gonna play? As a matter of fact, I mean, you got LeBron as kind of like a point forward there. You have AD as the 4.
AD would have to be the 5. It's no way
he doesn't want to play the 5. That's why they signed all these 5s now. So, yeah, that wouldn't mesh well. I think they are trying to do a 1-and-1 signing for a shooter, or another wing player, maybe a DeRozan who will be a free agent, maybe a depending on if Oladipo play out this contract, bringing in someone like him, bringing in someone possibly like a Chris Paul with their player option coming up soon. Like there is a piece that they can add that they want to add down the line. It's not going to be Giannis, though. This is just someone throwing information out there, hoping it stick. This is what this is, because this doesn't even fit from a basketball standpoint at all. And it's not what LeBron needs. LeBron got his certain type of players that he needs. And if you bring in a third player, he has to be able to stretch the floor for both him and AD. And if they're not able to do that, then LeBron's not interested in bringing them in.
The way I look at it, Chris, I'm going to turn this to you because we've heard a lot about the Harden rumors. Well, let's address this real quick. It will work. I don't have a doubt because LeBron will make it work.
God.
Why would we want to see it? Me as a Lakers fan want to be competitive.
Because you say, oh, the Lakers re-sign anybody. Oh, the Lakers, we do this. So I know if y'all get Giannis, you'll be in a group chat talking about nobody can beat us. We're the next big three. And it will never work. Why? Because who's the shooters out there? If AD doesn't want to play the 5, then he has to play the 4. You have Giannis at the 3. What center are you going to have that can shoot the 3-pointer at 40%? What 2 guard are you going to have that can shoot the – where's the money going to – like, come on now. It's terrible basketball if y'all do that. It's disgusting. It's honestly – it's just as bad as KD to the Warriors, if not worse.
I was going to go back to you, Chris. We talked a lot about the Nets moves and everything with Harden, the idea of Harden, Kyrie, and KD. And we talked about, people say, oh, it's not going to gel together. But you've made the point to say that all 3 of these guys, or at least 2 of them, can play off the ball. We've seen them go off the ball. Do you think all 3 of these guys could play off the ball? LeBron, Giannis, and Anthony Davis?
LeBron James' best strength is with him with the ball. Anthony Davis, he's a guy that can score in multiple ways. He can score the ball in his hands, but he can play some off the ball, posting up, pick and rolls. But then what's Giannis going to do? Giannis is not going to be able to sit in the corner while him and AD are doing pick and rolls, or AD doesn't want to sit in the corner the whole time when him and Giannis are doing pick and rolls. It's just not a good fit. And then Giannis, like I said, he's not stretching out the floor. So what is he really going to do on fast breaks? He's going to have 3 guys running to the paint. I mean, it's not going to be good basketball. Can it possibly work? There'll be a dangerous 2K team. I'll say this: they'll beat anybody in 2K. But I mean, game after game after game, you're gonna have 3 guys in the starting lineup that they like. 2 of them, they're not the best 3-point shooters, and then one of them can't shoot a 3 to begin with. And Freddie always wants to talk about spacing. He wants to talk about the Warriors team, how they have no shooters. What the Lakers are gonna look like?
That's exactly what I kind of drew comparisons to. We talked about, playing off the ball. Obviously, that's going to be important. Not everybody can run the offense through them at all times. And then it's going to be, I feel like bringing in Giannis would be a little bit of a power struggle between LeBron and Giannis. And somebody has to win. AD. Yeah. I mean,
that's where the power struggle is, AD and Giannis.
I was going to say, we've seen AD play off the ball a little bit more than the 2. But, I mean, we talk about, something's got to give, and that there's a lot of star power to give there. Somebody's got to be an odd man out if you're looking at that 3-man scenario. And then what's the point of even going to get Giannis if somebody has to be an odd man out? You might as well just move one out anyway. And so, or might as well, avoid the whole process in general. But that's just me. Whenever I was looking at it, it didn't click right. It didn't sit well. But yeah. Let's talk about let's wrap it up. We're doing the typical way to wrap up ASAP Real Talk. We're going to hit up 3 of our players brought to us by Chris Brown. And today's 3 players are as follows. We got 3 big men today, fellas. We got Kristaps Porzingis of the Dallas Mavericks. We got Mr. Extension and Bam Adebayo and Karl Anthony Towns up in Minnesota. I'm going to go to Coach Cam first. I need the 1 through 3 ranking from you.
Before Coach Cam, before you go, I'm 100% confident every list will be different.
Maybe. I think so. Now, I know y'all expect me to go full-blown homer. I don't go full-blown homer on these, though. I don't go full-blown homer on 1, 2, 3. But now, what I am going to shock you at is 3. Karl Anthony Towns. Here is why. It's something about me, the numbers is great. Skill set is great. Put the ball in the hole. Can stretch the floor. I mean, anything on the offensive end you can get from Karl Anthony Towns. But it's something about me with a player's heart, man. Player's heart, man. He don't give it to me. I get it. The numbers are there, but dude, I mean, he let Jimmy Butler punk him out in that situation in Minnesota. It rubbed me the wrong way ever since. He's literally shut down for like a month. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just shut down. Like, he couldn't play. Like, he was zoned out. Like, dude, play basketball, and all of these numbers that he is equaling to, and they're not winning. Let's think about this. You have another 20-point scorer on your team, and Andrew Wiggins, and you're still losing. You're still a lottery team. There's something to be said, and he leaves more to be desired on defense, and there's no reason to be. There's no reason to be for Cat to be a lousy defender the way he is, especially with this skill set and athletic ability. He could be a dominant force on both ends of the other court. And that's why I got him at 3. Number 2, I got Kristaps Porzingis. KP, I think, is number 2. Not only what he can give you on the offensive end, he's great on the defensive end as well on the back end. And I think you definitely seen the difference. Even though we were a bad defensive team overall, you seen the difference when he was out the game, especially against the Clippers in the playoffs, where when we lost him for the rest of the series, it was free reign for Kawhi Leonard and them boys at the basket, and there was no resistance. So you saw his impact really on the defensive end of the floor, and you really saw it, early in the playoffs. Before he got injured and all that good stuff, he was. Him and Luka was doing their thing, and like I said, if Porzingis doesn't get hurt, and also if you don't take a game 1 win away from us by ejecting him, you have a different series. And Kristaps showed his impact, on the game and what he can really. Why he's going. Bam Adebayo. Hey, there's nothing more I can say about him. He does it all. Far as like I say, he's a great initiator of the offense. He can the only thing I would like for him to do is improve on his finishing around the rim. But outside of that, he's the ultimate piece that puts everything together for the Miami Heat. Good defender, great rebounder, versatile. And I was happy that they gave him an All-Star nod too, because I think all around, he's the best out of these 3. I fought with it between him and KP, but I got Bam at 1, KP at 2, and Cat at 3. Cat got to get some heart, and Cat need to show me something this year. He needs to get that team at least relevant. I ain't got to maybe get to the playoffs, but they need to be at the end of the season talking about, can the Wolves get in? They need to be in the mix of things this year. It's no excuse. You got another player you say that you love in D'Angelo Russell. Get it done.
There we go. Karl Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis, and then Bam Adebayo at the 1 for Coach Cam. Chris, let's see how you follow up.
Like I said, every list will be different. I'm going to go 1 to 3. My number 1 is Kristaps Porzingis.
I respect it.
Here's why. On the offensive end, he's just as good. Karl Anthony Towns, he has the numbers, but you're going to have the numbers when, you in a situation like that. When I look at Kristaps Porzingis, standing at 7'3", being able to knock down the 3 ball like that, being able to create his own shot with the ball in his hand, doesn't have to rely on anybody else like that, getting you 2 blocks, leading all these players in blocks. So what that shows you is he's not just the offensive guy, that means he can be a defensive anchor. So not only are you one of the best offensive unicorns in the game, but you're one of the best defenders. And people fail to realize he was coming off an injury this year. He was coming off an injury. If you watch this dude in the bubble before, another sad injury happened, he was dominating. He was showing you why he was one of the best bigs in the game, impacting the team in the right way, impacting the team in the playoffs, helping them get to the playoffs. His defense improved in the bubble, his rebounding improved in the bubble, and his offensive game improved in the bubble. And I think next year, closer towards the playoffs, once he get his feet under him from this injury, he's going to have the best numbers out of all 3 of these guys. He's my number 1. Now, my number 2, I have Karl Anthony Towns. Yes, Karl Anthony Towns is my number 2. I talked about how good Kristaps Porzingis is on offense, but Karl Anthony Towns is giving you 26 and 10. Karl Anthony Towns is the best 3-point shooting big man in the game, and it's not even close. He's one of the best shooters in the game, and it's not even close. Name another center that's shooting about 8 threes on 41%. Nobody comes close. He's shooting better than some of these guards. You look at him passing the ball, he's giving you 4 assists. On the defensive end, he's not the best, but he's improving each year and each year. Now, yes, I understand the heart. Jimmy Butler came in there. He came in there saying, listen, we need to do this. We need to do that. I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is ready. And I don't. And that's something to be said. His numbers is there, but when you lack heart, that's why you're not number one. Because you look at his numbers, he by far is the best numbers out of all three of those guys. Mm-hmm. But the fact that his numbers aren't translating to a lot of wins, some of that's on him. Some of that is on the environment in Minnesota. What can go wrong will go wrong. They're not hiring the right coaches with the right players on their team. But when I look at his team right now, I don't blame Karl-Anthony Towns for the struggles. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is a top 3 center in the game. What he's bringing you in the offensive end and the defensive end's improving. Number 3, sadly, I have Bam Adebayo. I'm a high Bam Adebayo guy. I think he's the best defensive center in the game. But, when I look at his all-around game, Kristaps Porzingis, Karl-Anthony Towns can make the plays that he's making. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns averaged 4.4 assists, Bam averaged 5.1. Is he really the best passer? Karl-Anthony Towns averaged more rebounds than him. Is he really the best rebounder? Then on offensive end, his offensive game hopefully improves, but it's so bad. It's suspect. He's not consistent around the rim. And when you're a big man, one thing that you have to be consistent is around the rim, those easy dump off, those lobs. He needs to improve on his offensive game. He took a big leap when you look at his numbers from 8 points a night from last year to 16 this year, doubling his assists, rebounds went up. But his offensive game, to me, is still suspect. And so because of that, because I can't count on this guy to be the best scorer, to be the best everything on the team, night in after night out, Bam Adebayo is my number 3. KP number 1, Karl-Anthony Towns number 2, and Bam at number 3.
Chris, you may have been right on this one. I think all 3 lists are different. I'm going to go the same. I'm going to go from 1 to 3. And at number 1, I'm going to home Coach Cam's Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to go with Kristaps Porzingis. It's been hit on enough. I think this guy is absolutely amazing. I don't even know. I'll be honest. I don't even know if we've seen the full potential of Kristaps Porzingis yet.
We haven't.
It's still a matter of time. I mean, we've seen. I know a lot of injuries have held him back recently, and I mean, it's just a matter of time. Let me get a full healthy season with Kristaps Porzingis, wherever he's doing everything he can between defending, between hitting that 3 ball at 7'3". I mean, that's absolutely insane. The fact that he can hit him at that size. I mean, it's not something that you see every day. And it needs to be taken aware of. And number 2, I'm going to go Bam Adebayo. I'm going to go with Bam Adebayo due to his versatility on defense. This guy is by far one of the best defenders. I would argue by far the best defender out of these 3. Whenever you talk about a guy, whenever it comes to versatility, can guard multiple positions, can do it at a high motor, can really run a defense whenever it comes down to it. The man has clamps at all times and at a spot where it's really easy. I would argue that it's easier to get buckets down in the paint, whenever you're closer to the rim, and this guy is just sitting there holding it down and really putting a charge in the Miami Heat. I mean, as we mentioned, this guy is carrying this team along with Jimmy Butler. This guy has shown that he is the heart and soul of this Miami Heat team. And whenever it comes down to it, he's a decent offensive piece. Yes, there's work to be done. He's an amazing defensive piece. And I think it really shows whenever he's down there in Miami. I'm glad he got that extension. And number 3, I'm going to go with Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, we've talked about it. The stats show that Karl-Anthony Towns is arguably the best one out of the 3. But whenever it comes down to it, the spot that he's in allows for a lot of stats. I mean, whenever he's the main guy, the ball runs through Karl-Anthony Towns. He is the facilitator of the offense out there in Minnesota. It's not often that the ball runs through a big man, and in this case it does. It runs through him. He decides what shots are made. He calls the shots in Minnesota. It is his team, but at a point, like it's been mentioned, it's got to translate to wins at a point. It's got to come down to, that's great if you're a walking 30 points, 30 points and averaging 12 boards and everything like that, getting 5 assists and all this. But what's it matter if you're not winning games? If you're not out here getting dubs and you're not out here running your team. And I love the point Coach Cam made when the fact that the Jimmy Butler came out and he just shut down. I mean, legit, this man's supposed to be a leader of a team, the face of the franchise, for sakes. I mean, this guy is supposed to be the thing that changed Minnesota and got them off of Coach Cam's list. But here they are. They're still sitting here, one of the best examples of it. because of that, because of the lack of heart, because of everything that I've mentioned so far, Karl Anthony Towns finds his way at the 3 spot for me.
I think this is the best comment all night. You know, I don't know who commented this. Joel Embiid is the best hunter out of all those 3. He's better. You're right.
He's right. And then Nikola Jokic is better than all of them.
No,
but we will go ahead.
Coach K, I'm surprised you didn't have KP number 1, man.
I know. I thought, I really thought long and hard about it. I think the injuries for me didn't put him at 1. But the impact he makes on our team is there. It's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
If we're going to be honest, I was going to have Coach Cam's list, but it comes down to consistency, and it comes down to, this is Bam's first year not on the bench. This is his first time actually doing it in the starting role. I mean, he had a great contribution off the bench as well. Was, I want to say, the runner-up and 6th man of the year. Did absolutely amazing off the bench. Great stuff in Miami, but this is the first year. The man's still young. The man has amazing potential, such a high ceiling, but it's a matter of time. I got to see it a little bit more than just one season for me. So that's why Bam fell at 2. So, but yeah, a great episode of ASAP Real Talk. That brings us to the end of today's episode. We are out of our topics today. So want to thank everybody in the comment section for being involved. We love seeing the comments. It really makes things a lot easier. It generates topics. It generates conversation. It's stuff that we didn't even think about putting on the episode found its way here. And that's all thanks to you guys at home sitting there commenting. So we appreciate you all here at ASAP Network and can't thank you enough. I know we are not going to be here for Thursday. We're not going to be on the Thursday night show for Thanksgiving. But there will be a Thursday night pregame show. I know that is going to be happening for the NFL. So feel free to tune into that. But until then, ASAP Real Talk. We'll see you guys again Monday. Y'all take it easy.
Peace out.
Peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. Like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.